Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot with Melrose. This post is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology read, which you can find on my other channel called Astrology Today with Melrose. The idea here is to provide some further insight into the current vibes based on today's astrological aspects. First, I'll discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page, and then I'll do another quick rundown of today's astrology before throwing a random card that speaks to the day's energies. So let's go ahead and get into it. The card that sits on the side of the page, if you're a regular watcher, you'll notice that it has changed. We are now in the Nine of Swords, and this card astrologically relates to the second 10 days of the sun's transit through Gemini. So here we are in the second 10 days of the sun's transit through Gemini, which is the sign for basically for communication, for collecting information and for sharing information. That's what Gemini is all about. There's generally a pretty sort of playful vibe to Gemini. We're interested in games, we're interested in puzzles, we want to figure things out, right? But, depending on the data that's coming in, it might not be so easy to take a playful or a carefree approach to the information that we're dealing with, right? So the Nine of Swords is the air sign in the tarot. Gemini is air, swords are air. That's how we get that link up there. And air has to do with how we are using our thoughts, words, and communications. Not just that we have them or what they are, but also how we use them. We have the part of us that has the thoughts and the experiences, and then we have the part of us that observes ourselves having the thoughts and experience. And if we don't let that part of ourselves that observes us having the thoughts and experiences have a little bit of control over what's going on, then we can sort of just spiral out of control with our thinking about the information that we have, right? So Nine of Swords represents a period of time in a person's life where they might be losing some sleep and they're definitely experiencing some anxiety. You see, this person seems to be sitting up in their bed at night, and that sword is going like right through the top of their head, the middle of their head, and also right through the middle of their heart. Not in any sort of literal sense, right? Really more in a figurative sense, but these thoughts are on our minds. They're sort of stuck in our throats and they're sort of stuck in our hearts. And we're just in this negative sort of feedback loop on, we think one negative thing and then the next negative thing sort of compounds it and makes it feel worse and worse until, we just can't think anything good out of our situation. We feel a lot of anxiety. We might feel hopeless. Okay. There might be some nightmares if we're losing sleep. The sleep that we get may not be very good. And this is really an indicator that, this is something my mother used to say to me when I was young, like, if you think too much, you won't be able to make any good decisions in your life, any good choices in your life. You gotta, at some point you gotta, give up weighing the options or just thinking about all the little details and move forward, and take care of yourself in your life. So that's sort of the lesson here. Okay. Over analysis, all right, thinking too much, especially about the things that are painful to us, getting ourselves sort of wrapped around the axle in a way where we cannot get ourselves free from the negativity of the situation is really not good for us. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't acknowledge that a particular situation or a set of information or a set of circumstances shouldn't it's not to say that we shouldn't acknowledge the bad parts, okay? It's not to say that we should acknowledge that things are terrible when they're terrible, or that things are difficult when they're difficult, or that things are stressful when they're stressful. Absolutely, we should acknowledge it. But we cannot dwell in the fact that it's difficult or stressful when we have stuff to do, okay? And first of all, this is another situation of how using the thoughts and words and plans in a way that is unhelpful. Okay, like with the Eight of Swords, we had it where we had sort of used those thoughts, words, and plans against ourselves and gotten ourselves into this situation where we felt helpless. And now, we're not helpless, but we definitely feel hopeless And that's really because we've just overthought the situation. We've given too much time to the negative things, to the bad consequences, to the evil that we perceive, and it's going to affect our well-being. Okay, something's got to give here. Something is going to come to an end soon, because our well-being is affected. If you go without sleep for too long, you are not really able to function as an adult in the world. You're not really able to carry out the commitments you have made. We're not really able to, move forward with our own plans and devices if we are stuck in this rut of just thinking the same negative thing about the same terrible situation or situations, right? So that's the Nine of Swords. It is a sign of anxiety. It's another phrase I hear used a lot with this one is like, we're too much in our heads about something. I've definitely been there. I can relate to it. Where something just felt so terrible when it happened. When it went down, that I spent so much time rehashing how things went that I was kind of missing my life going by. I was kind of numb to the present because I was stuck in the past, right? So that's one possible situation. Or maybe you're stuck in the present and you can't see the future, right? You're sort of numb to the fact that anything else might ever happen because you're so intensely worried, concerned, and wrapped up in the negative thoughts that come with the terrible circumstance you find yourself in. And we all occasionally just find ourselves in a terrible circumstance. Sometimes we put ourselves there, okay? Sometimes this can be about how we're using our thoughts against ourselves. And sometimes, other people's thoughts, words, and plans have somehow come against us and caused us this negative thinking and this need to sort of overanalyze the situation to see how we can get out of it. You ever find yourself like playing a game or a puzzle or something, and you're like, "Gosh, I know there's something here. I know there's something here. If I just can find the key, if I can just find the puzzle piece, I'll put it back together and everything will be okay." But sometimes we're past that, and sometimes the puzzle piece is just missing, or sometimes somebody has taken that puzzle piece, or sometimes we sabotaged ourselves and lost that puzzle piece, right? So this is your warning not to just dwell on the negative thoughts that are coming up, but also, to take care of your body. Okay, sleeplessness is an indication that we need to take better care of ourselves. If anxiety is coming up in this way, the guidance I've always had is, don't lay in bed at night ruminating on things that you can't help, right? If you need some activity to get some rest, go get some activity to get some rest. If you need to do something else to get your mind off of it so that you can get some rest, do that. Do something that will take your mind off of, however temporarily, the anxiety that you're feeling and the rumination that you're doing, so that you can get some rest, so that you can take care of your body. And that's always my answer. I'm a massage therapist, and an Aries sun, so I think take care of the body and the rest will follow. That's always my guidance for myself. It usually works very well. If my mind especially is very upset, and if I struggle with anxiety, so if I'm wrapped around the axle on something that I can't seem to let go of, I revert back to taking care of my body. And that doesn't just mean doing whatever would feel good to my body. It means actually trying to take care of it, making sure I'm eating my leafy greens, going for my walks, that kind of stuff. And with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle some cards while I do a quick rundown of the aspects for today. Sun is in Gemini, and again, this is a time when thinking, planning, and communication is very much the order of the day. We want to take in the data, we want to mix it around, we want to have some fun with it, and we want to find a way to express it in some way that is hopefully kind of new and delightful and helps pull us toward a greater, fuller self-expression. The sun is really close to its fullest expression at this time, and it is increasing right now. So we are seeking that fuller expression of our lives, especially in the outer world. That's work, social, and civic lives especially. Mercury is retrograde for just a couple more days, and Mercury rules Gemini, so that can be having an effect. I really think that Gemini has sort of stabilized that retrograde feeling. Mercury is currently stationary. It was moving retrograde. Now it appears to have stopped and then On Friday, it's going to start to move forward again. So we'll be full speed ahead with those thoughts, plans, and communications. For the time being, we just don't make, we can make plans, we can have conversations, we just don't make commitments. We don't sign contracts, and we try not to allow ourselves to get anxious, angry, or upset when the communications don't go well, because Mercury is retrograde and everybody is dealing with that. The waxing crescent moon is in Cancer. Cancer is a nurturing sign. Moon and Cancer go together. Moon is the ruler of the land of Cancer. So it's very much a heart and home vibe. It's about what's going on the inside. And excuse me. So that waxing crescent is about sort of laying down our intentions, making our plans, thinking about what we aspire to get done over the next couple weeks, and in the ongoing future. This is a time when we nurture our aspirations, nurture our intentions and goals. As we're laying them out, so that when we get to that first quarter moon in Virgo, we have some stuff we can take action on and really start to work our way toward a culmination. On the moon side of the page today, moon is square to Jupiter and then sextile to Venus, both very good inner life vibes for engaging in the outer life, very good personal feeling vibes for being able to socialize and get along well with others. Moon square Jupiter says avoid overindulging in any of the substances that you love. Hopefully at 8:35 in the morning, you're not really at the point where you want to overindulge in anything. And then Moon square Venus says, you could host somebody for lunch, you could have somebody over, or, take them out for lunch, and it'd probably be a very good experience. In fact, that sextile vibe is cooperative and it's dynamic, so it might generate a really good outcome, like something good might come of it. Moon square to Mars, this afternoon, you might feel a strong pull to get a desire met, to do whatever it takes, literally to act out whatever it takes to get what you want. But that can make us seem a little demanding, a little too irritable, and that'll cause people to draw back from us. And then when we don't get what we want, we act petty, right? So let's be careful. Watch out for that tendency to have a petty outburst, and watch out for that tendency to just seem irritable and demanding with others. That's what keeps us from getting the things that we want a lot of the time, especially when Mars is involved with a square aspect there, providing a challenge. And then at 8:12 this evening, moon reaches this apogee. That is its farthest point from the earth. That's like the least amount of influence the moon has on our lives, but it's still a lot of influence. It's not like it went away entirely, okay? So it's all just a little less intense feeling. That can be a blessing when the moon is in Cancer, because Cancer brings about some pretty intense feelings, emotions, attachments. I also want to say that the waxing crescent moon in Cancer is a very fertile time. So if you're doing that baby making thing and you don't want to make a baby, be really careful. And then on the sun side of the page today, we just have these ongoing aspects. It's starting to thin out a little bit. It's not quite so overwhelming anymore. Sun sextile Mars. We focus on the actions that we have on our plates to make, and we reap positive rewards, because that sextile energy, again, is cooperative, it's dynamic, it creates something out of the work that these two have done together. So, act on those outer life focuses, act on those plans that you're trying to make, and or that you have made, because you had Mars conjunct with Jupiter, you had Sun sextile with Jupiter, you had all these indications that were like, make bigger plans, think about your bigger, better, more expanded version of yourself, and act in that direction. So hopefully that's what you've been doing, and you will reap the positive rewards from that. Mercury and Pluto, both still retrograde. Mercury technically stationary, about to go direct again. Pluto retrograde through the beginning of October. And this is just transformation on the inside more than on the outside. But understand, it feels individual because it's on the inside, but it is a collective thing. Pluto impacts generations full of people. All of the generations, but in different ways, the different generations in different ways. Mercury is trying to Pluto, so what comes up comes out. Venus has been square to Pluto until today. And that's like bringing up whatever insecurity. You know, maybe we reached out for something that we would like to have. Maybe we reached out for some reassurance, some attention, some affection, even some compensation. We did not receive it from that source we thought we could get it from. It made us feel a little insecure, and that will make us act petty again. Again, not getting what we want. Either way, will cause us to act petty, to think petty things, to want to do petty things. But really, anything you say or do out of that sense of loss when you didn't get what you wanted, is really going to be shown right now. You're going to be able to see it for what it is. Other people will be able to see it for what it is. And I believe it will get called out. Okay, so be careful. But it's really helped to have those insecurities come up, to be able to notice them, right? The eagle eye here is helping us notice those insecurities as they come up. And that trine vibe is giving us perfect harmonious vibrations for handling those things, for analyzing them, for assessing them as they come up, so that when we express them, perhaps we can be a little more diplomatic. But what comes up is bound to come out, friends. And with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this card. We have the King of Swords. So we have swords and swords right here, and swords are air. It is about how we use our thoughts, plans, and communications. Very appropriate. Wednesday is ruled by Mercury, so here we have very mercurial thoughts, plans, and communication kind of vibes in the cards. This one says anxiety. It says sleeplessness. It says worrying too much about things that I cannot control right now. You know, notice that you're in bed. And when it's the middle of the night and you're in bed, there's really not much you can do about whatever problems you have. If they're money problems, if they're people problems, if they're work problems, if they're, you know, this is very much a social life time of year. If it's a social life problem, you know, laying in bed in the middle of the night, whether you are sleeping or worrying, there's not much else you can do. King of Swords is here. Look at this, looking gently down on this poor anxious person, saying, you know what, get command of your thoughts, your plans, and your words. Okay, you need to take charge of yourself. And you know, be very rational, also be very clear about what you're thinking and why you're thinking it. Okay, the king's job is to be in charge, to rule the kingdom, to not just to be in command of themselves, but to be in command of the people around them, to think about how what they do affects all the people that rely on them, right? So if you're losing sleep at night, and you're anxious and you're worried and you're wrapped up in the negative thoughts, then you know what you have to understand is that's not just you. You know, it's not affecting just you. It's not just you dealing with you tomorrow when you haven't had any sleep and you're anxious and worried and can't leave it alone. So you know, you have to think about the impact you have on other people. Your decisions have consequences. Okay, and that includes your decision to sit up and worry all night rather than finding some other way to take care of yourself so that you can get to sleep. Okay, take care of number one, right? And this also, there's something coming across here with the way the sword is sort of across the king's temple here. It tells me, you know, guard your thoughts. Okay, you also don't have to tell everybody what your plans are. You don't have to tell everybody what your anxieties are. You don't have to tell everybody about the negativity going on in your mind. Okay, this is something for us to gain command of by thinking about it, by noticing that we are in an anxious loop of negativity, and purposefully using our thoughts, words, and communications to do something different with ourselves. Okay, have a conversation with yourself and get command of the way your thoughts are running around in circles. Right, they're your thoughts. It's your brain, so you tell them what to do. Okay, so yeah, get command of this anxiety. Really, if you need to seek out a therapist to talk to, or just a trusted confidant to talk to at this time. If you're feeling this way, don't share it with everybody. Don't tell everybody all of your anxieties and tell everybody about your hopelessness. You know, people rely on you to show up and you know, not to be this person who needs so much reassurance and needs to be helped out of this situation. But that doesn't mean that there isn't help available or that you shouldn't ask for it also. The King of Swords, you know, kings take counsel, all right? Wise kings take counsel. So, you know, confide in somebody that you trust. Confide in somebody who does this professionally, who hears people's anxieties and fears out professionally, or just confide in somebody that you know can help you think about it and can help you you know, make a different choice about how you're using your thoughts, words, and actions, so then you can get control of that brain activity, guard your thoughts, make your plans, and then move forward. And I believe that's all I have to say about it. You know, Mercury is retrograde, stationary right now. It would be natural to feel a little bit stuck mentally right now, like I want to move forward, but for some reason I'm not finding the way forward. I keep having these conversations. I keep trying to negotiate my way forward. I keep trying to come up with a new plan to move forward. And maybe that's the negativity that we're struggling with, is that Mercury retrograde stuff that says, you're just going to wait a little bit longer. Just give it a couple more days, right? And this is really, I mean, just through Friday. Give it a couple more days. Come Saturday and Sunday, Mercury will be going forward again. There'll still be a little bit of a retrograde shadow, but we'll definitely feel those energies start to ease up, and we can begin to think clearly and be in command of our own thought processes at that time. Okay, friends, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your presence. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot with Mel Rose.